They told you to chase, to try harder, to prove your worth. But what if I told you that love doesn't show up when you're holding on? It shows up the moment you release the need for it. Not when you beg, not when you search, but when you become what you desire. There was a time when the longing consumed every part of me. I thought if I just focused harder, worked on every flaw, or said the right words, I could make love appear. But life doesn't respond to desperation. It listens to alignment. And alignment only begins when you stop grasping. Letting go is not giving up. It is not indifference. Letting go is a sacred decision to trust a power greater than effort. It's stepping back and saying, I am whole already. It's choosing peace over panic and belief over begging. You release not to lose, but to create space for what's truly yours to find you. When I stopped scripting love like a desperate budget playwright and started living as if love had already arrived, something changed. I dressed for it, smiled for it, spoke like someone already cherished. I stopped waiting and started becoming, not a future bride or groom, but already beloved. People often mistake letting go for loneliness, but in truth, it's the beginning of becoming magnetic. When you're no longer orbiting around someone else's energy, you radiate your own, and that glow draws in what effort could never force. That glow brought in my marriage. It wasn't magic, it was mastery. Mastery of emotions, mastery of my thoughts, mastery of self. I built a home inside me, and someone showed up with the key, not because I cried for them, but because I stopped searching and trusted that they would come when the door was ready. You can't water your garden with clenched fists. Love grows in openness, in surrender, in stillness. When I stopped needing it to happen by a certain time or with a certain person, the right one appeared right on time. Not because I controlled it, but because I released it. I didn't manifest marriage through noise. I did it through silence, through walking like I was already loved, through healing the parts of me that kept questioning my worth. The moment I stopped praying from lack and started thanking from abundance, everything shifted. Letting go isn't absence, it's faith in presence. The presence of the unseen working behind the curtain of your life. It's choosing to trust the invisible choreography that leads hearts together without chaos. The marriage I longed for didn't arrive when I begged, it arrived when I believed. And this belief didn't come from a book or a crowd or some checklist of love rituals. It came from within. It came when I stopped running after love and walked as love. When I forgave the past, blessed the lessons, and stood still long enough to be found. Sometimes the most powerful move is not forward, but inward. You release the timelines, the overthinking, the comparing. You release the mental grip. And in that gentle release, something divine takes over. Something intelligent, something real. And when it arrives, it won't feel like chasing. It won't feel like doubt. It will feel like a mirror that found its match. It will feel like peace. Because that's the energy that birthed it. That's the power of letting go, not to lose, but to receive. So if you're tired, stop striving. If you're hurting, stop forcing. Let go, not because you failed, but because you're finally ready. Ready to trust. Ready to attract. Ready to live as if it's already done. And when you do, don't be surprised when love knocks. Because the marriage shows up not when you cry for it, but when you rise into it. Letting go isn't about giving up on the dream, it's about releasing the struggle. It's the sacred moment when you decide to trust what you cannot yet see more than what you currently feel. You don't let go because you're weak. You let go because you're wise enough to stop pushing against the tide. The harder you hold on, the more resistance you create. And resistance delays the very thing you desire. Letting go is standing tall and saying, I am ready on life's terms. It is not passivity, but powerful surrender. It's placing your faith in something bigger than fear. You're not losing hope, you're inviting harmony. You're not walking away, you're opening a door. You're not defeated, you're finally aligned. The day you let go is the day peace returns. It whispers louder than your plans ever could, because that peace creates the atmosphere where miracles move. The marriage, the love, the connection, it all arrives through stillness. When you trust timing over tension, the unseen forces take over. And in that flow, everything you wanted is already on its way. Not later, not never, but now, because you finally made room. Chasing is the language of lack, but being is the language of abundance. When you're constantly trying to get, you forget how powerful it is to become. Love doesn't respond to pursuit, it answers presence. When you shift from chasing something outside you to embodying what's within, the entire world starts to notice. You don't need to beg for validation. You only need to radiate your truth. The energy of someone who knows their value is magnetic beyond measure. People feel it without a word. You don't even have to explain it, they just sense something solid in you. When you act as though you are already loved, cherished, and chosen, life mirrors that energy. Your reflection begins to change. You see evidence of your inner shift in people's eyes, in their tone, in the way opportunities find you. You no longer ask, when will it come? Because you are too busy living as if it's already yours. You don't fake it, you faithfully feel it. And that feeling becomes the key that unlocks reality. The more you grit, the more things slip. Desperation is noisy, it screams that something's missing. But surrender whispers, it's already done. When you operate from a frantic state of needing love, you repel it. Because love wants to feel welcome, not hunted. Think of it like a bird, it lands where there is calm. If you chase it, it flies away. If you rest and open your hand, it may come sit there. Desperation clouds your inner vision. It makes you doubt yourself. It makes you think love must be earned or begged for. But surrender says, I am already worthy. Desperation is rooted in fear, but surrender is anchored in faith. You stop looking around for proof, and instead you carry the feeling as your proof. That shift in posture is invisible but powerful, and it changes how life responds to you. Suddenly, things that once felt far away feel inevitable. Not because you fought harder, but because you finally let go. Need is loud, but truth is silent. The truth is, you never had to need love to have it, you only had to recognize it already lies inside you. When you no longer move from the energy of I must have, you move into the vibration of I already am. It's the same as watering a plant and trusting it will grow. You don't stare at the soil, demanding sprouts, you walk away, trusting nature's rhythm. Letting go of the need doesn't mean you don't want it. It means your want is no longer heavy. It's light, pure, and full of trust. This is where grace enters. This is when life begins to cooperate instead of resist. You stop seeking confirmation and begin living from completion. It's no longer about calling love, and it's about becoming the love that can no longer be ignored. When need dissolves, worth rises. When worth rises, reality bows, not from pressure, but from presence. That's the power of soft confidence. That's how the marriage arrives, with grace, not with grasping. There's something unstoppable about a soul that acts as if the blessing has already arrived. When you speak, think, and walk like the answered prayer, you become the vessel that attracts it. You're no longer trying to prove anything, you're just expressing everything you already believe. It's not pretending, it's positioning. The energy of already having is calm, certain, and grounded. It's what draws what you want straight to your doorstep. You smile like you're loved. You rest like you're protected. You move like you're aligned, and suddenly the world can't help but reflect it back. People treat you differently. Circumstances shift. Your atmosphere becomes an invitation to what you've always wanted. You don't manifest from pressure, you manifest from peace. This peace tells the universe that you've accepted the gift before it physically arrived. And that's when it shows up, sometimes faster than logic can understand. Not because you fought for it, but because you felt it first. You can't attract a home while feeling homeless in your heart. You have to become the very sanctuary you want to share. That's when it finds you. Love doesn't complete you, it joins you in your wholeness. You attract what reflects your energy, not what contradicts it. So when you become a home of joy, peace, and stability, someone who resonates with that walks in. You no longer wait by the door, you become the door. You don't wish for someone to save you, you save your inner self. And that act of internal restoration changes your entire aura. You feel solid, you feel ready, you feel worthy. And those feelings are like music only the right person can hear. You don't call them in with words, you call them in with who you are. Not by doing more, not by changing yourself, but by finally becoming the home you once searched for in others. That's when love recognizes you. That's when marriage arrives not to fix you, but to join your completeness. There's power in patience, but even more power in presence. When you let go of timelines, deadlines, and expectations, you finally make room for divine timing to surprise you. You don't rush a sunrise, and yet it always rises. Love works the same way. When you force it, you delay it. When you trust it, it unfolds. Trying to control how or when love arrives is like trying to control the wind. You can't command it, but you can prepare for it. You become the open window. You become the steady flame. You stop asking when and start living like it's already now. This shift creates ease. And ease is powerful because it tells the universe you are no longer desperate, you are devoted. Not to the outcome, but to the alignment. You no longer walk in worry, you walk in wonder. You don't chase, you choose. And in that choosing, love meets you exactly on time. When you cling too tightly to your expectations, you leave no space for miracles. Love is not summoned by pressure, it's welcomed by trust. Releasing is not forgetting what you want, it's trusting that what want is finding its way. Your job is not to control, it's to prepare. Letting go allows you to relax into your becoming. And from that relaxation, clarity arises. You stop doubting. You stop overthinking. You start living in the energy of ready. You breathe differently. You speak from fullness. And that fullness echoes. People feel it. Energy always precedes action, and action always responds to intention. When your intention is pure and your energy is free, things begin to flow. You didn't lose anything by letting go. You gained the freedom to receive everything that was delayed by fear. You didn't quit, you surrendered. And surrender is the highest power. Stillness is not laziness, it is strategy. When you quiet your heart, you hear what urgency hides. In stillness, you recognize that you're already enough. In stillness, you find your strength. And in that sacred silence, love finally hears you clearly. It doesn't compete with your noise, it responds to your peace. When I learned to rest in assurance instead of restlessness, life began to rearrange itself. I stopped interrupting divine timing with panic. I stopped sabotaging connection with overthinking. I let go not from weakness but from wisdom. And as I settled into this peace, love found a pathway in. You don't need to do more. You need to trust more. Not because you're powerless, but because your power lies in believing it's already yours. Your stillness becomes a magnet. It pulls in everything that once felt impossible. All because you chose faith over frenzy. Control feels safe but creates delay. The more you try to script love, the more it escapes the page. When I let go of trying to write the perfect story and started living in the truth of now, the real story began. It didn't follow my plans, it exceeded them. Love entered not through effort, but through ease. The right person didn't come because I begged, they came because I bloomed. I stopped reaching, and I started rising. The light of trust outshined the shadow of control. And in that light, everything found me. Not because I forced it, but because I freed it. That's when marriage showed up. In silence, in peace, in perfect timing.